All right, let's talk about something that can be pretty confusing and honestly a little alarming if it happens to you. You're in the middle of your cycle, maybe around ovulation, and you notice a little bit of spotting after sex. Immediately, your mind starts racing, right? Well, today we're going to cut through that confusion and get some real clarity on what your body might be telling you.
So, what is actually going on down there? Is this a good sign, a bad one, or just a weird, normal thing that happens? We are going to explore all of it, from the reasons so many people are hoping for to the much more common, everyday explanations. And really importantly, when it might be a good idea to check in with your doctor.
Okay, let's just dive right into the big one. The one that, if you're trying to conceive, is probably the first thing that pops into your head. Could this spotting actually be an incredibly early sign of pregnancy? Well, the short answer is yes. It's definitely a possibility. What we're talking about here is something called implantation bleeding. Now, this isn't a period at all. It's a very specific, unique event. Think about it. A fertilized egg has made its journey and is now trying to nestle in, to attach itself to the wall of the uterus. That little attachment process can cause a tiny bit of spotting. And the timing is what makes it so confusing, because it can happen right around the time you're ovulating or just after. So how in the world are you supposed to know if that's what's happening? Well, your body gives you a few clues. Implantation bleeding is usually super light. We're talking just a few drops. And the color is often more pinkish or even brownish, not bright red like a period. And it might not come alone. You might also feel some mild cramping, maybe a headache, or even a little bit of nausea. It's like your body's first whisper that something new and amazing is getting started. But here's the thing. While implantation bleeding is a real possibility, it's actually not the most likely reason for spotting. So let's hit pause on the pregnancy theory for a second. More often than not, the explanation is way simpler and totally harmless. It usually has to do with your cycle or just the physics of sex itself. First up, and this one is super common, it could just be old blood. Yeah, really. Sometimes after your period is over, a little bit of leftover blood can kind of hang out in the folds of the cervix or uterus. Then, intercourse can dislodge it. So you see a little brown or dark red blood and think, what's this? When it's really just your body finishing up some old housekeeping. Totally normal. Okay, another really common cause is simple vaginal dryness. If you're not fully lubricated, the friction from intercourse can irritate the sensitive tissues in the vagina. That irritation can cause a little bit of light bleeding. It's not a sign of anything scary, it's just a sign of, well, friction.
And speaking of friction, let's be real, sometimes the cause is purely mechanical. If things get particularly energetic, all that activity can cause tiny, superficial tears or irritation to the cervix or vaginal walls. You know, your cervix has a ton of blood vessels, and it's especially sensitive around ovulation, so it doesn't take much to cause a little bit of spotting. So we've covered the exciting possibility and the very common, totally harmless ones. But what if this isn't just a one-time thing? What if it's happening pretty regularly? Here's our next big checkpoint. While it's usually nothing to worry about, persistent spotting can sometimes be your body's way of waving a little flag, telling you that there might be an underlying issue that needs a little attention.
Now, don't let this list scare you. It's just about being informed. Sometimes there can be other things at play. For instance, non-cancerous growths on the cervix or benign tumors called fibroids can cause spotting. Certain infections are another possibility. Even bigger, systemic issues in your body like high blood pressure or diabetes could sometimes be a factor. The real key here is to notice the other signs. These things rarely show up with just spotting. They usually bring friends, like pain in your lower pelvis, super heavy periods, or a burning feeling when you urinate.
Okay, deep breath. That was a lot of information, I know. We've gone all the way from a potential pregnancy to fibroids. So, with all these different possibilities floating around in your head, what do you actually do? What's the calm, logical, and most effective way to figure this out? Let's break it down into a simple action plan. Step 1, don't panic. Just observe. Pay attention to your body. Step 2, get specific. Note the details. Is it pink, brown, red? Is it one spot or more? These details are clues. Step 3, if pregnancy is on the table, a home test is a super easy first move. And finally, step 4, and this is the most important one, if the spotting keeps happening, if it's heavy, or if you have any of those other symptoms we talked about, it's time to talk to your doctor. It's that simple. And you know, going to the doctor is so crucial because they have the right tools to give you a real, definitive answer. They're not just guessing. They can do something like an ultrasound to literally see what's going on. They can look for a gestational sac, which is the very early structure that surrounds an embryo, or they can check for things like fibroids. This is all about trading worry for clarity, and that's a pretty good trade.
So, after all this, what's the big takeaway? Spotting after sex during ovulation can mean a whole bunch of different things, but it is always a message. Your body is communicating with you, and learning to listen to that message by observing the signs and seeking answers when you need them is the absolute key to being in control of your own health. So the question really isn't just, why am I spotting? The bigger question is, what is my body telling me, and am I ready to listen?